We have been hearing from the MAGA movement, from many in the right wing, for a very long time now, that it is Democrats who are doing all this voter fraud. Of course, Trump claimed time and time again without evidence that his election was stolen because of this mythical voter fraud that he wasn't able to prove. And this became the identity, largely, of this far-right MAGA movement, being an election-denying movement. Carrie Lake, just her full identity, and she was a hero for it in the right wing, was an election denier, and many other examples. Well, time and time again, weirdly enough, we get examples, when there are examples of voter fraud, of Republicans. Now, I want to say up front, and then we'll dive into the specifics, that this is not a conspiracy to, through voter fraud, steal the election from Democrats. No. Every election, because millions of people are voting, either accidentally or in this case on purpose, people will attempt to vote twice, or they'll go to multiple locations and mail in a vote, or vote for a dead relative, or whatever it might be. And this is a tiny, 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 tiny percentage of the votes, but it happens, again, every election, because millions of people are voting. Someone's going to try something fishy and people get caught for it. It doesn't affect the election. That's why we use the term widespread voter fraud, because even in a country our size, accidentally, you're going to have a handful of what you would call voter fraud. Someone voting and they didn't know that they're not allowed to vote because of whatever it might be. Those stories have happened before, and this is not the sign of a conspiracy. So I want to say that, but talk about this to show you just how ironic it is that the cases we're seeing of voter fraud are coming from the side that was pretending voter fraud stole the election from Trump. It is very, very silly. Take a look at this being reported.
The chairman of the Woodbury County Board of Supervisors tonight is responding to the arrest of the wife of a fellow supervisor.
That's right. Kim Taylor was arrested for her alleged involvement in what court documents call a voter fraud scheme. It was during the 2020 elections. Details now in our top story at 6. 49-year-old Kim Fong Taylor of Sioux City is charged with 26 counts of providing false information in registering and voting, 3 counts of fraudulent registration, and 23 counts of fraudulent voting. That's a total of 52 charges. According to court documents, the case centers around a total of 8 individual voters.
Those documents allege that Taylor was twice involved in that scheme of generating votes. First in the June 2020 primary election, where her husband Jeremy Taylor was a candidate for U.S. Representative in Iowa's 4th Congressional District. He lost that election. The second was during the 2020 general election, where her husband successfully ran for county supervisor, winning by more than 1,900 votes. If convicted, Kim Taylor faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison on each of those counts.
Wow. So, trying to help her husband get elected through these fraudulent voting activities. Let's take a look at this. Also from CBS. The wife of Northwestern Iowa County Supervisor has been charged with 52 counts of voter fraud after she allegedly filled out and cast absentee ballots in her husband's unsuccessful race for a Republican nomination to run for Congress in 2020, federal prosecutors say. She filled out dozens of voter registrations, absentee ballot request forms, and absentee ballots containing false information. That is what is being alleged, and we'll see if she is convicted. So, what's so fascinating about this is people need to recognize when you come across stories like this that the way our voting system is set up, the ballot casting process, the counting process, makes it not likely that the stories told by those in the right wing about this voter fraud story they've depicted are true. It's just not likely that that could occur in the way they've broken it down, that people would just be going from one ballot drop box to another, throwing dumps upon dumps of ballots into them, and they're not checked. They just get counted, and Biden wins all of a sudden. And that is why they haven't been able to show evidence of the actual widespread voter fraud that they were talking about. But then you get examples like this of a Republican who does get caught for it, which shows our system of catching people is working. That's good. And also shows that there's kind of this weird, distorted view of because they were told Democrats do this. I don't know if it's the case with this Kim Fong Taylor, but a lot of people, when you see them get caught for this type of thing, will respond saying, well, the Democrats are doing it, so I have to do it to even that out. And it's like, but they're not though. So it's just you. Now it's just you doing the bad thing for no reason, but they justify it with the claims that are false. And this example helps show us why they might be so false. And it's so fascinating, so ironic. Let me know what you think, Luke P. Beasley on Twitter.